That was me mentally coming up with a theme song. I have no musical talent whatsoever. I mean, okay, let's rephrase. Because I don't think I'm technically tone deaf. I think I'm like a step above. Like I can recognize stuff. But I'm gonna practice, so I'm gonna say I have no musical talent whatsoever. No. Stop talking negatively to yourself. It is day. Hi, internet. um, pardon the brain fart. It's just been one of those days. Yeah, it has. Uh, Day 63 of 365, meaning 2/3 of the numbers of 365 appear, but flipped. So, does it mean anything? No. And then it's day 15 of the media fast. Oh. Day in the life of ASMR. So when ASMR first became a thing, I'm like, what does it mean? Auto-sensory motor response. And I had Siri. My version of Siri is a very charming Irish guy who the kids I'm charged with said, call him Hudson. And this was before, like, the actor Hudson became a thing because of the show he does, which I haven't watched, but and it turns out it was just this kid's best friend's name. So apparently Hudsons are having a resurgence. Anyway, I have yet to call. But wouldn't it be cool if you had an AI assistant and yes, there's a generic name associated with the brand, but as there's different voices, you can like call it by that name. Wouldn't that be cool? Anyway, Hudson. Hudson Scott. Why did I call him Hudson Scott? I don't know. It sounded like an Irish name. Although technically it sounds closer to like generic English name. Where was I going with this? Day 63, 365, day 15, media fast. Oh, ASMR. It's day in the life of ASMR. Why is it ASMR? In the media fast, in like prep for it, because I said I'm such a music person. When I got introduced to one artist, like I just said, who's related to you? And I just dumped all of that into one Spotify playlist because there's something about as you're listening to it, this playlist, the only commonality is these are songs written by people who want to celebrate, honor, meditate, be with God. And it's so many different genres. There's instrumentals, there's like instrumentals, but it's just like lo-fi background noise, and then there's instrumental versions of worship songs. But in the mix of that, it's like God was reminding me that I'm Dominican, like my roots. And I was recently introduced to like Spanish hymns, and through the Spanish hymns, I had a friend recommend to me more Spanish Christian songs. So these aren't necessarily worship. And then through that, I did my blah blah blah. And then today, I heard a song which was like. It was ASMR because my brain, it did the tingles. It did all the tingles. And then I just got to thinking about, like, what is ASMR exactly? Because it's one of those things that, like, when it first appeared on the internet world, in the internet scope, and then it was all the soap cutting, the tapping, which obnoxiously I can't do the tapping ever because I refuse. I love like nail art, and I used to want to get nail art every time I went to Korea because it's like that art is like art. But then you have to get used to living your life like this a little bit. And I'm just such a and when I type, everything just and not only would I break them, but not comparing, but I do not have hands designed for fancy nail art. I'm overdue a couple of years for a good old manicure, but give me like short, black, but classy emo nails, black nails, or like a dark color, like a dark maroon or whatever. Ugh, I'm good, but I don't know. I wish I was that girl, the girl that could pull off claws. Even my growl was like, I'm more the puppy that goes arf, arf, instead of see, I can't do it. And then there's, people talk about ASMR voices and you whisper really perfectly and how it sounds like just really soothing. I don't know if my voice ever is ASMR. I don't have a good relationship with the sounds of my voice. Anyway, what is ASMR? I don't know. I just, it's one of those things of like, what does it actually mean though? Is it always so cutting? I remember early days, there was a channel that I saw where it was someone just wrapping presents perfectly. And I'm like, ooh. I guess in the long and short of it, ASMR is a good thing because it's like you don't think about your brain tingles. You don't think about it, the Peter tingle. This is not a spider sense. It's not like, it's just when you just go, ooh. We need more moments like that. Collectively, spiritually, there are some passages in the Bible that are doing that, which is a good thing, I think. I do need to buckle down. I need to lock in. I was reminded of that I am competitive. I am ambitious. Someone said that to me and I'm like, I'm not ambitious. And then they're like, everything you did is ambition. And I was like, am I insulted? I don't think I'm insulted. I think, as I'm discovering myself every day is a new day, there is this, like, acceptance. I was filling out this application and I think, not even the application, like any dating app or something where you have to talk about you. Okay, so this is a sign of the times of the generation I grew up in, and love Mean Girls. Like, love everything about it. That was my high school experience in some sense. But there's one thing that, like, stayed with me probably longer, but it's like a lot of things that stayed with you in your formative years. For example, like just low cut body, I don't think a lot of, like, the question is, how do women of millennial origin, how do we survive? Because everything demanded us to be ridiculously skinny and hate ourselves unless we were ridiculously skinny. One of the other things I think was, and this is the impact of Mean Girls, and I think this is something collective society, we need to really check ourselves is, what is the message you're giving to yourself? Because there's a line, and I know I'm kind of butchering it, but it's when Regina says something along the lines to Katie of like, oh my gosh, you're so pretty. And Katie says, thank you. And Regina George says like, oh, so you think you're pretty? And those are the moments where I'm like, obviously she's the mean girl designed to crush your spirit. But it's something that just had an impact because we should be able to give ourselves compliments. We should be able to, and not in a delusional sense of the word, but we should feel confidence, not arrogance, confidence in how we look, how we speak, who we are. Because if we don't have a baseline of positivity, we're just going to continue to rag ourselves, and it's going to just cause 20 years of trauma where you don't know how to accept someone else complimenting you because you get self-conscious of if someone gives you a compliment and you're like, thank you. And then it's are they going to be like Regina says, like, oh, so you think you're pretty. Oh, you think you're funny. And I think there were a lot of years of me being very self-conscious because I didn't know how to accept that. I didn't know if I was allowed to accept that. And then there were words I allowed myself to accept. Oh, you're cute. It's awkward, but it's adorable. And there are still words that if someone said to me, I'd be like, you sure? But who am I to limit what someone thinks about me? It's like we're so willing to accept the annoying aspects. If someone calls you annoying, I'm like, yeah, I could be annoying. If you're weird. Weird, I think, is used incorrectly. I gladly accept that I'm weird. I'm not normal. I can be a little jarring. I can talk too much. A little scatterbrained. And I don't even want to be like, oh, I'm unique. Because that's such a cop-out word. I am unique, but I am also wholly boring and unoriginal and a copycat, and like the words that we use to describe ourselves could go both ways. But where was I going with this? I just, it's sort of like the things that affect you. Mean Girls, that one comment, that whole interchange affected me because I didn't know how to accept the compliment. I didn't know if I was allowed to just say thank you, because some people genuinely are awful and they will say things horrible. And then there are people who genuinely be like, no, you're pretty. I think you're pretty. And then obviously there is this like cultural baggage where we never knew how to give each other compliments. It was always like a backhanded compliment. So there's that trauma too. And then, because I was talking about ASMR. Like after ASMR, that term became part of the lexicon. After it had its moment in the cultural zeitgeist. I like that word, zeitgeist. I don't know if I'm using it correctly, but I like saying it. Even out of context. It's a fun word to say. I think it's just, I don't know, today was reflective too. Like Psalm 139. Psalm 139 is a passage that's often quoted to remind people, we are wonderfully and thoughtfully made. He needed us from our, it's not out of context because it's true. There is a portion that is to remind us how intentionally God created us. But then I think a lot of the times we forget the stuff that comes before. And the stuff that comes before is like characteristics of God, attributes of God. And I think I just had this moment today where I talked about it with my small girls about like, wow, that's the God who loves me, thought about me, cares for me. And that's the God that I want to search my innermost beings, my thoughts, and make sure I'm doing things right. It's a big ask. It's a big, big ask. And, I don't know, all of it. Tingles, brain tingles. Yeah. I think a lot of it just had to do with that one song. I not obsessively, but a lot of the times when I listen to music now, I think about what the Spotify Wrapped is going to be. Sort of why I'm doing this. There's this thing of like, what defined me this year? What song defined me? one year, and this is the year that song came out, 17's Heaven's Cloud. Listened to it 99 times. There was a part of me that said, you couldn't listen to it 100 times? What's wrong with you? And then there's another part of me that was like, wow, you listened to the song 99 times. You must have really liked it. And I did. It was such a, like, a hymn, bright, just like a song. And I think at the time, and even now, I would need a very, like, song. But sometimes, like, for the most part, I don't think about it, and if I like a song, I listen to it on repeat, to the point that you might be like, wow, are you not sick of that song? I think it's just because it is, those particular songs in that moment is ASMR. It gives my brain the tingles. But I do think about that, the Spotify Wrapped, it's like, oh wow, so this was your ASMR song. This was the thing that gave your brain the tingles. I don't know if it's going to be this one. I don't know if it's going to be another one, because there's another song I heard a couple of while that I was like, chills, tingles. But even with this, there's not gonna be a YouTube Wrapped where what I post, but sometimes I'm like, if, you know, if, I don't want to say it's a benefit, but if there's a thing about taking stock and doing this, where you are publicly confessing within reason of, and just talking about your thoughts and inner things, brain dumping, and then, like, at the end, there's an algorithm that says, these are the words you used a lot this year. This is what you said a lot. This is the gesture that you did a lot. You laughed this many. This is the average length of your videos. Like, it's kind of nice, so you're not the one constantly calculating it, because sometimes that's what data is. You data dump, and then you see the results of a year. Yeah, ASMR. Again, technically, ASMR is limited to the tappy and the shh. For me, these are the things that give my brain the tingles that shoots down my spine when I, like, these thoughts, these tangents, where it goes, who knows? Okay, but that has been my Wednesday, my hump day. I did not wear pink. Okay, that was my last Mean Girls joke. Good night.